Welcome to Manager's Mantra with bsmart. Today we are teeing off with Mr. Vishesh Chandyok, CEO of Grant Thornton Bharat LLP, as we explore how golf is more than just a game. It's a power move in business. After the buzz of the 2025 Kapil Grant Thornton Invitational, or the KDGT, where cricket legends, business moguls, and golfers came together, Vishesh reveals why golf is the ultimate networking tool and how it sharpens leadership and strategy. If you're a B School student, young entrepreneur, or a manager, this conversation is your hole-in-one for success. So stay tuned as we explore how you can leverage golf for business growth and leadership. So welcome to Manager's Mantra with bsmart, sir. It is a pleasure having you on board. And before we start with the questions, would you like to share something about KDGT?
The Kapil Grant Thornton is a unique golf tournament. It is more than a golf tournament actually, and now in its third edition. I've just come back from Bangalore at the third edition, and we didn't know how well it will go, how people will receive the tournament in a new area. In the past couple of editions, we've done the tournament in the Delhi NCR, which is sort of my home ground. We have access to the best facilities, clients, staff, teams in the NCR. That is not the same in other parts of the country. So I was quite skeptical how well it will go, and it was a resounding success at the Prestige Golf Share course. The kind of support we got from the local community, the kind of business leaders who showed up, cricketers who showed up, and of course the golfers, both male and professional, male professionals as well as women professionals. So I think it's probably the first tournament of its kind in any sport where men and women compete during the same time period, in the same competition, for the same prize money. So I think it's probably the most inclusive tournament there is, and not just the most diverse tournament.
So that was, one of my questions, that you've brought together professional CXOs, even sports persons on the same green. So, how do you see events like the KDGT shaping a new kind of business community in India?
I think that's what business or life is about. It's about shaping ecosystems. People often believe it's all about competing and standing out and, being successful on your own. Everybody has to understand that unless the ecosystem is successful, their own success will be limited. If we thought as a consulting accounting firm, we could be the only firm that's successful without the profession being successful, is that going to happen? If we thought without the country being successful, that the profession is successful in India as an accounting consulting, profession, but the businesses in India are not that successful, is that going to happen? We are a B2B provider. So I think people have to understand it's about shaping ecosystems, and that's what we stand for as a firm. How can we shape the various ecosystems that influence our business? We look at 6 ecosystems, the entire climate and energy transition ecosystem. We want to be at the center of shaping the success of that. It's so important because if we don't have, a planet, the planet will still be there. Whether humans will be on that planet or not, we don't know. And I think we need to make sure that humans are on that planet, right? So that's the first ecosystem we want to shape. Inclusion, which is really shaping the bottom of the pyramid, because India is firmly on its course of success. But if it's not an inclusive India for every Indian, we will have much difficulty in getting there. So, farmers, women, MSMEs, how do you take everyone along? That's the second ecosystem we want to shape. The third ecosystem we want to shape is automation and AI, the potential of technology and how to embed that in everything. The fourth one is obviously FDI and relocating supply chains. Fifth one is private capital, private equity, family offices, venture capital, such an important part of shaping growth. And the last one is regulatory, ease of doing business, cost of doing business, regulations, how they impact business. So we really see ourselves shaping those 6 ecosystems. And I think that's what KDGT is all about. It's creating a unique ecosystem which is beyond the game of golf. It includes cricket, it includes business, it includes governments, it includes capital providers. So it is really an ecosystem that we see KDGT as.
That's amazing. But like you mentioned other sports as well. What is it about golf that screams business and networking, which is something that other sports like football or cricket haven't been able to do as much?
Well, I think the most important thing about golf is it's a sport you can play for your entire life. If you think about that, there is not another sport you can play from pretty much when you start your abilities of being able to experiment with a sport, 4, 5, 6 years of age, until you're alive. I've seen people in their 90s, even 100 at the golf course. So, is there another sport you can play for your entire life? And if there is a sport you can play for your entire life, and then you also play in a group, and in that group, you can have people of different abilities. You can have a professional, you can have somebody who's a beginner, you can have somebody who's in their 90s, all play together. There isn't another sport, I think, where you can have people, outdoor sport, probably cards or something you can, but I can't think of another outdoor sport. Think of tennis, think of cricket. Can you have like Mr. Kapil Dev and me and yourself? You're probably a very good cricketer, but can all of us play together? Answer is no. So it's, first of all, a game you can play for your entire life. Second, people of different abilities can play together. And then you play for a reasonable duration. It's not 5 days like cricket, but it's not 90 minutes like soccer. It's like 5 hours where you're together as usually a 4-ball. And that's a terrific environment. It's like a stroll in the park for 4 hours, together with someone. And what you discover in that 4 hours is not necessarily deal-making conversation that, trying to finalize an M&A deal or raising capital for someone or helping somebody expand overseas. It is actually discovering each other as individuals, because how somebody behaves in those 4 hours, 5 hours on the golf course represents what that person is. You learn about their approach. Are they somebody who's aggressive? Are they somebody who's defensive? Are they somebody who's balanced given the situation? Are they somebody who's disciplined? Because golf is all about etiquette. Where do you stand? When do you speak? When do you take your shot? You learn about integrity. What are the person's values? Because it's such a small ball on a huge 300-acre field. You are in one corner, other participants are in other places. You can easily move your ball, improve your lie, as they say. You can say you did not touch the ball when you did, which is supposed to count as one shot. So it really talks about that self-awareness and integrity that a person brings to the game. So you learn a lot about people, and that's why it is so easy to combine business with this game, that you quite naturally end up seeing golf and business as something that go hand in hand.
That's very interesting. But, is that why, in fundraising or deal making, trust and chemistry are very important? So does a round of golf create better environment for such outcomes compared to boardrooms or Zoom calls maybe?
I think there's room for all three things: Zoom calls, boardrooms, as well as outdoor ways. All those three things are unique. What can be done on a Zoom call is unique. What can be done in a boardroom is unique, and what can be done on a golf course is unique. If you tried to, go over documents on a golf course or try and negotiate specific clauses in a sale purchase agreement on a golf course, it's not going to happen. What can happen on a golf course is initiating a discussion. What can happen on a golf course is asking someone to think eventually of the goal versus the detail. And therefore, there is room for all three things.
Right. So let's talk about, how did you get into golfing? Was it love at the first swing?
Like anything in life, very few things are love at first swing, love at first sight. I think golf for me was walking the course with my father growing up when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and just trying to help him look for his golf balls when they went into the jungle. It was the Delhi golf course, full of jungles, or try and find his golf tees, which fly when you hit the ball which you put on that tee. So trying to be helpful to him, to try and be a ball finder or a tee finder for him. And during that time when there was hold up, and hold up is when there's other people within your reaching distance, they used to say, why don't we let the kid try out and hit the ball? So I used to try out, hit the ball. Obviously, what they were indirectly saying was, your ball is not going to reach that far, so you can hit right now, and that way you can learn. Whereas obviously in my mind, what I was hearing was, this is impossible for you. You can never do this. And I, therefore, from a very young age, have only learned how to hit the ball really hard to ensure that I could show them that, of course, I can. And yeah, since then, that's one thing I can do. Not necessarily straight, but I can hit the ball quite far.
That's great. But golf is also called the game of patience, and it requires focus, precision, like you said. Would you say that also mirrors your approach as a CEO?
Absolutely. I think, golf is a game with hundreds and thousands of unknown variables. There isn't another game which has those variables. That's why it's called the greatest game ever played, the most beautiful game ever, thought about, because of those number of variables. You think about football, you've got a flat pitch, right? Where, the lie of that pitch when you're taking a penalty shot is always the same, right? It's always flat. It's always from the same distance. In golf, the distance from which you're hitting the ball, the lie from which you're hitting the ball, the surroundings around you, where the ball is going to land, where the ball is going to travel from, there's thousands of variables. And the choice you have of what you're going to hit the ball with, like in cricket, there's one bat. In hockey, there's one stick. In golf, there's 14 clubs in your bag. It's up to you to choose whichever stick you want to use. There's no right or wrong. Your objective is to try and get it closest to the hole, ideally in the hole. So those thousands of variables are very similar to business. In business, people think there are only 2 or 3 variables at any given point in time. That's not true. There are thousands of variables that impact every decision that goes in, but you got to take a decision. You can't procrastinate and say, I need to know all the data, all the answers. You need some of that data and combine that with your business instinct and take a decision and move forward. So that's why there is so much to learn from and so much similarity between life and golf, not just business.
That makes so much sense. And I guess you've answered a bit of this. But what's one leadership or strategic lesson that golf has taught you, but a classroom could never do it?
I think it would have to be integrity and self-awareness. As I said earlier, golf is a game where nobody's really watching you. You count your own shots. You report your own score. You disclose your own handicap. There is very little check and balance. One of your playing partners signs it. I have never ever seen the playing partner ask, what number have you written, right? So it is all about self-reporting, your own ethics. I don't think we spend enough time in India in classrooms teaching people to be honest, ethical, about strong moral values. If you look at our school education system, and I've always said this, the paper with the least amount of marks was which one? Do you remember? Maths had 100, English had 100, Hindi had 100, or whatever your regional language. Which paper had the least amount of marks? Even history and geography had 40. Only one paper had 20, which was civics or moral science. So the least amount of marks given in our education system is to moral science, is to learning these sort of things. And I think that's what this game really teaches you, on how to be honest with yourself. And it's about self awareness, self discovery of who you are, versus somebody else trying to discipline you, police you, and try to figure that for you.
That's so true, and a really important lesson for sure. But what advice do you have for young professionals who think that golf is only for the elite?
It has become that because of the cost of golf course memberships, the very few and scant number of golf facilities. But actually, if you look at it, cricket was the game that was meant for the elite. Cricket was the aristocratic game. Golf was the commoner's game, both discovered in England and Scotland. In the UK, that's where both the games originated. In Scotland, the princes and kings and in their palaces used to play their royal games on elephants and whatever their horses, polo and all those sort of things. Commoners used to go down to the beach and started hitting a ball on the beach against a stick, and that was the origin of the game. So it was played by the commoners. It just ended up becoming what it is today, and I think the PGTI, who's our host and partner for the KDGT tournament, is doing a lot to change that. We're now seeing support from state governments to think about opening more public courses, opening golf ranges, and eventually, hopefully, reduce the duty on golf equipment. That would make it a game for the commoners. The following of this game in America that I've seen, and that was actually my inspiration behind thinking about how do we create a property in India, like some of the big major tournaments in America, which is an Indian property. That was the whole genesis of KDGT. That following is unbelievable. People come out, it's like a picnic with families, husband, wife, young kids, pregnant women who come and hang out the whole day, 8 hours, from when you leave the house to when you're there. There's food, there's memorabilia, there's whatever. You don't get to see much of the sport because a small ball spread over 300 acres, a few groups, you can't see much, but it's such a fun environment to be in. So that was our inspiration on where we wanted to.
With KDGT. That's amazing, because I've seen that the Golf World Championships are also getting a lot more fans, a lot of fans, and people are following them. So I guess...
it's called the majors.
Yeah.
You mean the majors?
I think.
Yeah, the majors. Yeah, so, just like the Grand Slams in tennis,
right,
there are 4 major tournaments in golf. But golf is a week in, week out sport during season. Every week, the golfers are in a different city on different tours playing. So the US PGA Tour, which is the biggest, tour in the world, the PGA, that all the big golfers are part of, is every week from pretty much February until December that goes on, and then a couple of months off. But in India, I think it's just the beginning. The quality of professionals we're now producing, who we had with us, Angad Chima, our winner, Kalin Joshi, who came runners-up, previous winners of KDGT, some of the women, phenomenal performance. I think the 5th or 6th on our leaderboard was a lady professional from India. I don't think the day is too far when we'll have a lady growing, but I think this is just the beginning. Our objective at KDGT was to think about this 20 years out, not 2 years out. We are now 3 years out. At the same time, we always go back to the drawing board and relook at how can we make it even bigger, even better, and that's what we will do.
That's amazing. Now, coming to KDGT and Kapil Dev especially, do you think his leadership style has been a motivating factor for you, and has he influenced the way you carry out your leadership role?
I mean, Mr. Kapil Dev is just such an inspiration. Not only was he the person really behind our 1983 World Cup victory, he has since evolved himself, kept himself fit to now be the chair of PGTI. What I've learned from him is prioritizing what's important. He has from day one said that we have to ensure that we get more money through sponsors, give value to sponsors so that they can come behind us into this, just like Grant Thornton is a sponsor, but there's so many others. But then a lot of that sponsorship money should go towards sports people. These are golfers. These are not his first love, cricket, but these are golfers. He wants to make sure most of the money goes towards those sports people. All the F&B, all the other fun and frolic is sponsored and provided for by non-cash sponsors. So his priority is raise more money should come into sport, and more money should go behind, people who've chosen golf as a career. So it's amazing how, he's so focused on doing the right thing and doing so for the entire ecosystem of sport.
So, did you get a chance to golf with him? And do you have any memorable moments that you'd like to share?
No, absolute privilege. I've had the pleasure of playing with Mr. Kapil Dev, his guest in the first year, Mr. MS Dhoni, in the second year, Yuvraj Singh. In this year, but did not play, but Mr. Sunny Gavaskar, Syed Kirmani, Roger Binney, Harbhajan Singh, Ajit Agarkar, a whole host of cricketers being there. So I've had of course, I've played with Mr. Kapil Dev. It's unbelievable how somebody who was known to hit sixes, be a pinch hitter, be a fast bowler, has adapted himself in life and is now a very contained player. He does not hit the ball very long. He hits a very contained shot and still plays to a handicap of 1 or 2, I think, which is better than most amateurs. It is very close to what the professionals play. So he can, even in his mid-60s, compete with Indian professional golfers. And, that's how you adapt yourself through life to be appropriate for the given time.
That's amazing. So, that was it for our longer questions, but we do have a quick fire round, which we'll try to get done in like a few words. Okay. So, my first question is, one golfer you'd love to have business lunch with?
Tiger Woods, of course.
Okay.
He's had so many ups and downs in life and in the sport of golf. I'd love to learn from him. How did he handle those ups and downs?
Amazing. What is a tougher deal according to you? Closing a complex M&A or sinking a 30-foot birdie putt?
100% 30-foot birdie putt. It's a total fluke. There is nobody who would say with confidence I can sink anything more than 10 feet. That is not a fluke. It's even at the professional tour, I think the percentage of putts over 12, 13, 14 feet would be 10, 12% that professional golfers make, right? That's like 1 in 10 times, broadly. So definitely sinking a 30-foot birdie putt.
Okay. And what's your handicap and what's your business edge?
My handicap is 9. I try and keep my handicap towards the better rounds I play so that nobody can question that you're fudging your handicap, because you get strokes from others based on what your handicap is.
Right. And your business edge?
My business edge is always thinking about attempting the impossible. What people say is impossible. What I've learned from the game of golf from a very young age.
Yeah, that's true. What's your go-to mindset on a golf course? Patience win or play to win?
100% play to win.
Great. One thing golf taught you about negotiation?
Let the other party think they are winning the negotiation, always. It's about, not necessarily, fighting in order to win. So when people try to negotiate strokes with me, I usually say, it's okay.
Amazing. And the last question, what builds trust faster, speed networking or slow golf?
100% slow golf. There's no question about that one.
Great. Thank you so much. It was so interesting to hear you and learn from you, your different experiences. I'm sure our viewers also enjoyed it a lot. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap on today's Manager's Mantra with bsmart. Big thanks to Mr. Chandyok for showing us how golf is a game changer in business. If you're looking up to your leadership and networking game, maybe it's time to hit the green. bsmart viewers, we hope you enjoyed this conversation. For any questions or feedback, feel free to reach out to us at bsmart.edit@bsmail.in. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.